today I'm giving you our complete email marketing optimization sheet that we use for all of the tests that we run within email marketing for our clients. So this is for anything from send time, from name, campaign name, templates. This is a sheet that we use for any sort of optimization that we're running that is run across several campaigns or run across the account as a whole, where we need to look at the data from several different places and analyze it properly rather than just clicking through Klaviyo, clicking through ActiveCampaign and looking at all the different pages and trying to figure out which one's actually the winner, because by doing that you can't really get a good picture of all the data and be able to compare them to each other in a way that actually allows you to see what's going on a more holistic level. So let's get straight into it. This sheet here is basically our sheet for email marketing. Now this can be easily edited / changed for any sort of other marketing channel that you want, but this is specifically designed around email marketing. Now, as you can see down the bottom here, these are the most common send types or send tests that we'll run for a client. As in, these tests are the ones that are the most high leverage. As in, if you test for send times and you test for from names and email type and template, then all 4 of these variables can actually be applied across the whole email marketing channel, rather than just testing for subject lines that's only applicable for that one campaign. And you may be able to get some meta learnings that you can apply across other campaigns or other automations. But these variables specifically are the most applicable, and in my opinion, the most high leverage for testing in an account first to get results that you can apply across the whole email marketing channel. Furthermore, SMS as well. Now, actually using this sheet, it's pretty simple. Up here is just a quick note for you to not add in any stats or data from campaigns that haven't had their time to actually gather all the results that they needed. So emails specifically can take anywhere from 48 hours to a week in order for them to gather 95 to 98% of the data that will actually be accumulated for that one campaign, especially for older lists and older demographics. These people only check their email inboxes once or twice a week. So you'll see the data trickle in at a much slower rate over a much longer time period, as opposed to a younger demographic list where people are much more active and most of the results come in much quicker. So don't add in data from campaigns that haven't had their time to gather all the results. And when it comes to actually designing the test and building this out, I will link a video below that I've actually done on running optimizations, and it digs deeper into optimization as a whole, and it goes over system syncing, North Star metrics, and a few other things that you need to actually understand if you have no idea about running tests or running optimizations within an account. So if you aren't confident when it comes to running A/B tests and optimization, I definitely recommend checking out that video. But if you are, you can basically just take this sheet and start using it immediately. So specifically for this send time sheet, we have the hypothesis. So when it comes to picking your variables, don't just pick any random ones. Try and pick ones with some critical thought behind it. Try and come up with some reasoning as to why variable A might be variable B, etc. Just put some thought behind it to try and give yourself the best chance of finding the best variables sooner, rather than just picking random ones here and there. Below this is the uncontrollable variables. So we just want to consider the things that we can't, or we have less control over. So the total recipients will change across the test, and then the email deliverability may change across the test as well. So we just want to consider these things when it comes to looking at the results later on. Now, these are the variations here. You'll put in the 2 different variables that you have. So again, for send time test here, it's 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Here we're trying to pick variables that are the most far away from each other, so we can, instead of finding out that 6 a.m. beats 8 a.m., we can test if morning is better than night. And then these are much more further variables that give us a better context of what actually might be the best send time later on. Now, if you want to add in more variables, then pretty much all you need to do is copy this here and then paste this here, and then rename this to CCC, DDD, and then add in a few more columns here and put a variation C and D, and then you'll be able to test as many variables as you want, really. But this is just built out with two variables as the default. Next, within email marketing, we want to definitely consider the revenue attribution conditions when we're looking at any sort of revenue data collected. Some software, some attribution settings that are set up are basically more stringent or more accurate than others. So you want to have a clear understanding of how accurate or how stringent your revenue tracking actually is. If you have no idea as to what I just said, and all of that was basically gibberish, then I'll link another video down below that I've done going over revenue attribution within email marketing. if you're unaware about this, then definitely watch that video, because it'll likely save you money and it'll allow you to make much better decisions. Next, just a quick reminder for whatever the currency you're tracking in, and then down here, all you need to do is put in your email name, segment that it sends to, just because if you're changing segments over the test period, then you want to have an understanding as to which segments each of the campaigns have been sent to, because tighter segments and larger segments will obviously get varying open rates, click rates, etc. Now, all you need to do is put in the name, segment, variation A, open rate, click-through rate, revenue, and then the same for variation B here. After you've done this for all of them, for the entire test, you'll be able to look at these two rows down here, and it'll give you the totals and then the averages of both of the variations. So this is the main thing that you want to be looking at when it comes to making decisions. Usually, the best thing to look at is the average, because you want to see on average what is the best send time to send campaigns to across basically all time. Now, a quick note is, if you don't fill this up with the full 20 campaigns and you say you only have 15, then all you need to do is come down into these cells here and change 20 to 15, so it will change this average to give you the actual average, because if you only put 15 here and then look at the averages based off 20, then it'll obviously be wrong. So just make sure you change that or edit it if you put any more or less data in the sheet. But after this sheet is all filled out, you'll be able to come down here, look at the averages, look at the totals, and then analyze the differences to see which one's the actual winner. If you don't know how to properly analyze data at a deep level, then watch the optimization video, because it will really tell you how to understand data at a deeper level. The third way to do this is if the totals and the averages don't give you any sort of conclusive data, then I forget what is actually called in statistics, but you can come in here and look at each of the different campaigns on a one-to-one level to see which one's the winner. So if, say, out of all these campaigns, variation A won 14 out of 20 times, but the 6 times that variation B won, it was so large that it skewed the data for the totals and averages, then you can look at that to get understanding as to this variation won the majority of the time, but variation B won a lot these 6 times, and maybe there's credence to sending different send times on different days or something like that. But that is, again, a more sort of advanced or the last sort of measure way of looking at the data if you can't really see a clear result. After you've done this, come down here, note down the differences statistically, and then give a conclusion and a brief summary of the next steps. So if you think that there's more to be won within the send time test variable / environment, then do another send time test. But if you think that you've done 2 or 3 or 4 send time tests and you think that you've already got the winner and you're not going to get much more improvement, then it may be a high leverage for you to come down and start testing the from name from your emails or email type or template. So again, this is really up to you when it comes to making these decisions, and the quality of your optimizations will probably be based off of how well you understand the data that you're looking at and how well you understand optimization as a whole. So again, watch those videos if you don't, but you can definitely get away with a shallow understanding with a sheet like this. So again, this will be linked below. You can access this for free. If you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out or leave them in the comments below. If you liked it, feel free to leave the video a like, but if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. All right, cheers.